Tiffany brought it in today's episode. She gives us some killer tips to stay organized. If your desktop is filled with images and documents and videos galore like mine is, then you will love adopting her organizational hacks. You will get to hear how my Build a Blissful Business course made a huge impact on her brand and her business in just a short time, and she shares her expert tips with the key elements to a website and sales page that will lead more people to the sales button. All right, stick around, my friend. This one's a good one. You're listening to the Badass is the New Black podcast. I'm Chrissy Chin, your host, here to teach you how to build an online business that you love and in a way that allows you to work a little bit less so you can enjoy a whole lot more. My hope is that you've showed up to today's episode ready to learn something new and will be inspired to take imperfect action in your business right away. I won't make you wait any longer. Let's dive in. All right, let's welcome Miss Tiffany to the podcast. She's an Atlanta-based web designer who helps busy moms with big dreams create the life they want. Now, she combines her masterful design skills with 15 years of entrepreneurial experience to passionately design custom websites, landing pages, and sales pages that convert. When she's not working with clients, chasing after her energetic son, or collecting and selling fresh farm eggs from her chickens, you can find Tiffany riding ATVs or watching football with her large extended family. As a successful student of Build a Blissful Business, hey, that's my course, you guys. Tiffany firmly believes that when you identify your brand message, you will reach and be prepared to serve your ideal clients. Creating a brand to stand out online is possible if you're willing to put in the work. Welcome, Tiffany. I couldn't have said it any better. It's like you took the words out of my mouth. That's exactly what I believe.
Thanks for having me, Chrissy. I appreciate the invitation to come on with you.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk to you, pick your brain. We're going to learn a little bit about your background, how you got here, talk a little bit about your experience with Build a Blissful Business, and dive into some tips to help people with their website, since that is your specialty. Okay. So let's just start by hearing just a little bit about how you got to where you are now in your journey.
I'm going to try to keep it in a nutshell. Obviously, 15 years as an entrepreneur, it was led with 10 years in the corporate world. So if I look back a long time ago, my dad was a corporate executive, and I just thought that's where I was supposed to be. We had very similar personalities. We, always found ourselves in leadership positions, me, just like my dad. And so that was very natural for me to go that way. And in that job, I did create a lot of opportunity for myself, positions that didn't exist. If I, felt that it was a good fit for both me and the company, I talked them into creating it, so I worked my way through those 10 years in that situation. Eventually, the company was no longer able to keep me doing what I really loved. And so after a few years of just being in that 9-to-5 grind, I knew that I wanted what my husband had, which was the life of an entrepreneur. We had started his business probably 4 or 5 years before this season of my life. And together we grew his business, until that's all he had to do. And I wanted that too. I wanted that time freedom and that freedom of not having someone else tell me where to be and when to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can completely relate to that. And I think a lot of, entrepreneurs can at some point, they're like, all right, I'm tired of someone else controlling my life, the situation. And it's time to, take it into my own hands. What I notice about your story is, and I love pointing out strengths. And if you know you have other strengths that really led to kind of the jump and success in where you are now. But it sounds like you're a total go-getter. Like if you don't see something that you want, you're like, all right, well, I'm going to create it. Like the positions in your corporate jobs. All right, there's not a position for what I want to do. Let me create it and let me convince them that they need this position, right, for me to do it.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is probably one of the strengths that you have, whether you recognize it or not, that has probably helped you be really successful in your entrepreneurial journey.
For sure. I definitely think that personality trait has contributed to my endurance as an entrepreneur, because there are certainly ups and downs. There are not only highs that come with being your own boss. And it can also be a myth that you immediately jump into time freedom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be honest, as entrepreneurs, we work around the clock a lot of times. But when you're doing what you love to do and you're invested for all of your whys versus someone else's, it makes it so much different. So yeah, for sure, I have definitely created those opportunities. And even when I've been in a role as an entrepreneur doing something new, like real estate is what I immediately jumped from corporate into. I loved the marketing. Okay. So I really spent more time marketing myself and my properties than I probably spent face to face with agents. But after that 2008 crash, I realized, I'm probably not going to survive this. I better jump ship before it's too late. But all the work and effort I put into that, I managed to hold on to. So I've kept my license active all these years. I continue my education, and I'm able to refer clients out. So that's one of my revenue streams that I have available to me, because I was like, okay, how can I use this to my advantage and not give it up 100%? But then I was able to switch roles and really focus on the marketing aspect and go into more of a marketing and sales type situation in areas that I really loved and had a little bit more passion for.
That's awesome. Two things. Love that you have multiple streams of revenue and income coming in. I'm a firm believer in that. Like, don't
100%.
put all your eggs in one basket, but at the same time, you can't build 4 brands and 4 businesses at the same time. So you have to start with one, build it up, start generating revenue. And if there's something you want to evolve into or branch off into, then you can do that. And so it sounds like you started with real estate and then, figured out how to make that work for you, and then branch off and do something else while you figured out how to still bring in income from that. So that's really cool. And then what I also recognize is that you realized probably through real estate that you loved the marketing piece. And so that's really cool to see that one piece of your journey, one, block, if you will, or one chapter, you really kind of figured out even more what you liked even more. So like, okay, I like these aspects of this job, and now I realize I really like this. It's kind of like when you live in different homes or like apartments, you realize like, okay, I like this about it and this about it, but I hate this about it. So the next place I get is going to have this yard and a flat driveway, but it's also going to have XYZ. So really funny. In my house now, when we walked into the house for the first time, we were like, why is the dishwasher like 2 feet off the ground? It was so bizarre. And we were like, who does that? And the first time we put dishes in the dishwasher, we were like, oh my gosh, I don't have to bend over. No one's banging their shins on the door when it's open, right? Because it's lifted up. And so now that's like okay, next, if we ever move, like the dishwasher is going to have to be raised up. So it's like these little things that you find, and the home is just, I think that's just an easy example everyone can relate to. But in different jobs, positions, entrepreneurial ventures that maybe do or don't work, you're really figuring out along the way what your big picture and business is going to look like.
Absolutely. Don't you think, Chrissy, that this is a good example of the house analogy? It's like building your dream home as you live in all these other homes before you get to your dream home, right? You create that.
Yeah.
My philosophy is to create the life you want. And so it doesn't mean that you've made mistakes along the way by doing some things that you don't like. it means that you've learned exactly what you do want.
Yeah.
And so you tweak your life along the way and adjust it to be what you want. What I want tomorrow might look a little bit different than my vision today.
Yeah.
Because life evolves and things change. And so, yeah, I love that analogy.
Yeah,
And I'm
absolutely.
so glad you brought up the housing situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have the same philosophy in terms of helping, women and entrepreneurs really build this dream life that they want. And like you said before, like it takes work, but you can absolutely do it. And one of those things is, not seeing things as failures and mistakes, but like, how can I learn from the situation, and what am I taking away that's going to benefit me down the road? So I love
Yes.
that. Let's talk a little bit about Build a Blissful Business course.
Okay.
Because this is, one of my courses right now that I offer to people to help them build a standout brand, right? Amongst everyone else who's doing and selling the same thing that you are online. And you are a guest in that course. Tiffanie does a guest training for us on websites and navigation, and the layout of your website to direct people to that buy button, because that's ultimately what we want, right? And so she was a guest in there, but she was also a student in the course. So let's hear a little bit. Just kind of want to know, as an experienced entrepreneur going through this course, who may seem like, gosh, this course is probably for beginners, people who are just starting to build their brand or their personal brand, but you were an experienced entrepreneur. You had marketing, education, and skills. And so what was it about this course that you really loved or used to benefit the growth in your business?
Yeah. Number one, clarity. It really drives home the opportunity to clarify your message and what you want. I found myself coming in, obviously, I had a goal, right? I knew what I was working on, my existing project. I was rebranding myself, and I knew what I wanted at the end of it. I just didn't really know how to get there. I didn't know how to eliminate a lot of the words. When you're telling your own story, you tend to use a lot more words that are necessary to say the same exact thing. So it really takes you through a process that gets you to that end goal with a lot of clarity. So clarity is the number one thing, and it's so much more valuable than what you've even priced that course at.
Oh, well, thank you. I've had a lot of different stages of people that have gone through the course. And I think that's, no matter how far you are, even me in my entrepreneurial journey with multiple brands, like I'm still constantly evolving the message to be more clear. And like constantly, like the process that I use is the process that I teach. And I'm constantly going back over and over and over again. How can I get clearer? How can I get more specific and more direct, so that I am really attracting the perfect person for my business, and being able to serve them in a way that I want. So I think it's always an ever growing thing. I don't think you're ever too experienced enough to continuously be revamping the clarity in what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it taught me even for myself and gave me honestly a new perspective that now I use with my clients, which is done is better than perfect, because is there such thing as perfect?
No.
No.
Never.
So get it done, right? Get your website done, get it built, get it out there, and then come back as you get new ideas, and constantly let your site be an evolution of your brand and who you are. And so while I finished your course, Build a Blissful Business, with a lot of clarity, since then, I've continued to revamp that site page by page by page. I'm adding new stuff. I'm taking away stuff that doesn't really fit anymore. And it's been less than 6 months. The evolution that my site is continuing to go through. So I say, obviously, if you're not building your own site and you're having it done for you, you want to go through a lot of that clarity and that work before you have it built. But just know that if you have the option to keep that site in a stage of evolution where it's constantly evolving, Google will like that too, by the way.
Yeah, totally. I love that. And so as an experience, website developer, builder, you create landing pages, you've created a sales page for me for this course, which is amazing. What is your thoughts on, and I have my own thoughts on it, but in terms of this course setting you up to have the content that you need to just hand it over to a web developer or someone who's creating a page for you and be like, all right, here's all the pieces of my brand, and this is what I want to go create.
The worksheets that you provided with your course really make you like put pencil to paper. And so you physically have the content that you need. And then once you're working with a web developer or web designer, they may just be able to say, okay, narrow this down, and then help you identify exactly what you need for each page. I do recommend a professional copywriter to help you do that, but you would have everything you need to hand over to a copywriter and then say, I need my website and I need the content for it. If you have any questions, let me know. But
yeah, I remember
have that content definitely available.
Yeah. I remember when I hired a copywriter to do some things, and she's like, all right, we need to have an hour-long session and ask me all these questions. And so I'm like, okay, how can I help someone set up to where they can be like, oh, hey, I already have the information that you need. And by the way, as she took me through that process, I was like, oh my gosh, this just created so much clarity for me in all the other things that I'm doing. Or if I even am creating a simple email and not having paying a copywriter to do it, it just opened my eyes so much more. So that's what I just really wanted for my students, was to give them this process, to have them get clarity, really build that standout brand so they can stand out from everyone else, but then have everything that they need to keep building it and letting it evolve with support. Because like you want to help people build, create the life that they want. I do too, but I believe that in order to build like an empire, you need support. And so at some point in time, you're going to have to hire a VA. You're going to want to hire someone, 3 years in with one of our brands, and we hired web developers to make all these modifications and help us in this process. We had a super successful business before doing it on our own. And then it was like, all right, you guys, it's time to level up. Like, we've got to hire some professionals that really know SEO, that really know website design and all of this. And I've learned so much, but having all this clarity in the content, it was easy to get across what we wanted and have them completely blow our minds.
Yeah. I mean, that, again, clarity. When you have the clarity and someone asks you a question, you know the answer. It's not like, oh, can I sleep on that, please?
Right.
You know it. You know your content. And so then if you like to be organized and get organized, it really structures things in a way where you just store it in this little corner of your computer, right? Of that space and that hard drive, and you know where it is and you know when to reach for it, and it's there.
Awesome. I love it. Okay. Well, that's the perfect segue into, I want to just get a quick, best system or process that you've put in place to help you. I'm a blue personality. It's very unorganized, but everything that I do and teach my students is like how to take that organized chaos and make it really organized and work for someone who's not very organized. So is there a system or a process or maybe a platform that you use that really helps you stay organized?
The number one organizational approach that I've taken since computers were developed is a file system. Obviously, I don't have a filing cabinet where I'm opening drawers and pulling out files and papers anymore, but I'm doing that on my computer. So keeping things organized in my file system on my computer is super important. I need to know where it is. And so you got to find a process that works for your brain, because, sometimes we operate different. So for me, I have a client folder I have a Chrissy Chin folder. I have my other clients' folders. And then within the Chrissy Chin, I have a sales page. I have Build a Blissful Business. I have all these things. So I know where to go reach. I have logos separated. I have graphics separated. I have, photography separated. So I know exactly where I am looking for a file that I need at any given time. Because obviously in design, I might be trying to upload in from Safari at one point. The next minute I might be uploading from Google Chrome. And guess what? It defaults to the last folder you were in. So I need to quickly be able to get back to where those files are and know where they are. Mm-hmm. So I would say that's one of my little tricks that I use and always stay on top of. Besides my planner keeping me where I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be somewhere, that system has been with me for 25 plus years. And I can't change it no matter how hard someone tries. If they don't dig it and they don't know it, I'm like, well, my computer, my space, my system.
And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's working for you, that's great. My organizational skills on that front are fairly broken. I just save everything to my desktop because that's once I pull something up, it's like, that's the easiest thing to find. And then my husband will come in and be like, your entire desktop is filled with images like that. The computer's running so slow, and he'll just highlight them all and put it in a folder. It's like unmarked desktop stuff. So it's like now I have like 3 folders of like all this stuff I've saved on my desktop. So I am getting better about, because it is so helpful when it's like, oh, the stock photos that I've used for all the images on the Build a Blissful Business course, they're in a folder in my Google Drive. I use Google Drive as opposed to Dropbox. There's what is it called? Stock, just like stock photos, stock office photos, whatever. And so now I know, that's where I can go and look, as opposed to like, was it on my desktop? Is it in a random folder now? Did it get deleted? So I'm getting better at that, but I'm going to have to adopt some Tiffanie organizational skills there.
The key is, look, none of us are perfect. I mean, my desktop has a slew of like stuff on it too, but when I am ready, I stop and I try to do this consistently. Just stop and take 5 or 10 minutes to like take it and put it where it belongs. It's just like walking through your house, since we're on the house analogy. Walking through your house, and are you going to dedicate a whole day to cleaning your house from top to bottom and let it turn into a mess in the meantime? Or are you that person who likes to walk through and pick up an armful of things and put them where they belong on your way through the house? You know what I mean? So we each have our systems, and it's not that one is wrong over the other.
Totally. I would say that I'm the first one where the house is a disaster, and then it's like, all right, 45-minute cleaning time. Because if I do it the other way, I feel like I'm constantly cleaning, which is not something that I love to do. However, I will say that when you pick up the small things, it seems like it takes less time overall. It just feels like you're doing it more. And like life just seems less chaotic. So if we're bringing that back to our business, I really would like to, I don't should on myself, so I never say I should. I would really like to do the organizational piece little by little as, hey, as soon as I download that, boom, stick it in the folder, right? Okay, cool. Let's move on to a couple things that you were going to teach the listeners here at Badass is the New Black, how to increase some website traffic for sales. So I think you're going to talk a little bit about, copy, some clear next steps, the soft sell. So give us what you got, girl.
Okay. Chrissy, I know your listeners want to know how they can increase traffic to their website, and I have some expert tips that will make everyone want to run right over to their website and refresh it. So today we're going to refer to a service-based business website versus a product, but know these tips can be applied if you sell a product, no big deal. Number one, let's talk, invest in the writing. Copy is key. You nailed it. I definitely wanted to talk about copywriting today because it's made such a difference for me. And I'm actually someone who likes to write, but working on your own project is so difficult. And so I really learned how important a copywriter can be. But copywriting is meant to steer your visitors to the action that you want them to take. So you've got to capture and entertain your readers. If you can highlight the true benefits of your service, and then you want to come back and answer, why should I work with you? You know, they want to know, why do I need your service?
Right. Because it's really like you have to capture them in like the first 6 seconds, right? So they're coming to see if you can solve their problem or help them with what they want. So right off the bat, boom, this is what I'm going to do for you, right?
Exactly.
Like first and foremost. And then you can, okay, then if you kept them that long and they're like, all right, that's what I'm looking for, that's what I need, then you can go take that next step of what you just said.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you want to get your customers ready for a close-up. Okay. So a bonus tip too, while you're preparing to build your site or even refresh your site, this is kind of, to me, one of the prep steps that goes with copywriting. Invest in high res professional photos. If you provide a service, they're pictures of yourself typically, maybe of your hands at the computer, whatever, you know, whatever looks natural and in your own space. It really is a situation that will create connection between you and the people who visit your site. So, and then if you're selling a product, obviously high resolution images of the products that you sell are really important.
All right, so I got a question about that because high resolution images are usually larger files.
They are.
How do we, and our web developer was just like, hey, you got to downsize all these images because it's like stalling your load time and whatever. Yeah. And I was like, oh, but the clarity is just not so good. And he's like, it doesn't really matter. I'm like, okay. He's like, well, you need that quick load time. So how do you make a smaller file but not lose the like I don't know if integrity is the right word, like that clarity in the
yeah, I'm a Photoshop girl. I know a lot of DIYers aren't investing in Photoshop and they're using apps like PicMonkey or whatever. So there's definitely some hacks that you can use to downsize, but you want to go from a 300 resolution image to like down to 72, which is for web. And that's pixels per inch.
Okay, so when you're resizing,
I'm trying to convert from tech lingo to street lingo.
But really, when you go and you have your image pulled up on your computer and you go to like, I don't know what it is, tools or something, and then there's the resize, it gives you all these numbers and pixels. So it usually says what, 300 pixels, and then you move that.
You want to just like at least cut it in half. It depends on how big it is, you know. I mean, if you're in the 1,000 range, you got to drop it. You got to drop it way down. But as far as some tips for what types of images to upload, JPEGs are going to be smaller than your PNG files. PNGs are going to have your transparent background typically. And so you're going to need a few of those probably with your logo or whatever. And that's okay. Just make sure that they're sized down. And you can also just do a little cheat sheet if you need to and go to tinypng.com. Or I think the other one might be Copycat PNG or something like that. And so you can go upload your images and then they'll spit them right back out in a very reduced image size for you. You can barely tell the difference in the quality of the image once you run through a system like that.
I'm so glad you mentioned Tiny PNG is the one that I know and use. So I was like, oh, I hope she mentions that. So yeah, Tiny PNG, I just upload them all and then basically hit downsize and it just makes them small. So that's it, kind of the easy button there. And it's free. I mean, I use it for free. Maybe there's like a max limit of how many you can do for free, but I just like close the window out and then reopen it back up. And
yeah, I think that's the restriction, but it's, you know, it's totally manageable. You can manage on the free app. It might take you a couple days to do all the images you need if you're restricted by day, but you can get it done.
Okay. So copy is super important in how you structure the copy. And then images.
Okay. Next, choices. Give your readers choices. You want to showcase multiple price points or display them in multiple ways throughout your site. So if you have packages for your service. Maybe you have a small, medium, and large package. You could call them your bronze, silver, and gold package, whatever you want to call them, in order to highlight the different levels of pricing you offer. And if that's clear to your readers, then they're not immediately feeling like they're left out. Yeah. They can't afford you, or you're not going to offer a type of package that they want. And so then you want to make customers buy the package you want. So how do you do that? You make it bold or bigger, make it look like it's jumping off the page. One of the most popular ways to highlight a package, if you have 3 on your web page, would be to add a little ribbon and say most popular, or label your buy now button as a choose this plan. Just tell them. Readers want to be told what to do. So you have the opportunity to direct their eyes where you want them to be. So be sure you have your site optimized for desktop and mobile, because that's the #1 choice readers want. They want to be able to clearly visit your website on either or. And that's super important, that it's, visually accepting to the eye on both platforms.
Yeah. And that's something that we experienced when you were building out the sales page for Build a Blissful Business, was like so many people access it from their phone. And I was like, we need to have it looking good on the mobile. And so that was like playing back and forth, like switching it to mobile and desktop. What does it look like? Oh, when it's here, it's chopping off the top of my head, like figuring out how to like get that to stay. So it was so nice that I didn't have to deal with it. Like you had to deal with it. But super, super important, because so many people now are accessing from their phone that you really need to have it mobile friendly.
There's one new platform, I cannot spit the name of it out, but that designs for mobile first, which is really unusual, but not dumb by any means. I mean, more people do access from mobile these days than a desktop. But on that subject, you want to make sure whatever platform you choose, especially if you're designing for yourself, that it has the option to optimize for mobile. And just a little expert tip for you, that's going to be the last step that you do. Design it for desktop if that's what the platform was designed to do. If your main site is meant for desktop, design it for desktop. And the very last thing, once you get everything perfect, is then to go in and optimize for mobile. And if you've gotten a current tool or platform to do that on, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, I remember when you're like, all right, check out the sales page, like take a look, let me know. And I'm like, my head's chopped off. You're like, stop looking from your phone, or don't tell me those things. Just read the copy. Just tell me, design wise,
the very last thing we're going to do is confirm it works on mobile too.
Yeah, totally. And one last little note about the plans and basically having options, like love options, too many options can be overwhelming. So I love that you said like 3. And then it's almost like this illusion of giving people options, but then like you said, like whichever plan you really want them to go to, it's like, choose this one. So like you're giving them the illusion that they have these options. And if they really don't want it, they can dip their toes in with, the starter plan or something. But your end goal is that what plan you want people to be on. And so if you're not like pointing all the arrows to it, all the arrows pointing to it don't work, the funnel and like how you're training them once they pick that other plan needs to lead to that plan that you really want them to on the back end. That's a whole nother
which we might talk
episode. Okay, so we have a few more minutes. So what is like one last tip?
Let's see. So let me just bulletize the last few points that I have for you, and we won't like really break them down, but tell and show. Your customers want to touch and feel. And while we can't really serve on that sensory, we can tell them and show them. So providing a software tour or creating video of your services, or if you're a designer like me, make sure that you showcase the benefits of having both the desktop and the mobile site. Another important aspect of design is to boost your customers' confidence. You want to set those expectations up front, and so that they know how to expect to hear back from you. No one wants to guess what to expect, right? So share your process, articulate your refund policy, stuff like that. And then spread your customer testimonials throughout your site, right? You want to boost their confidence in you. So showing past projects that you've done and giving them easy access, maybe displaying logos of different projects that you've worked on before, that would be a really good way to do it. And then simplify the purchase process. So make the next step super clear. This goes back to call to actions and all those arrows that you talked about pointing right where you want them to point. You want to be sure you've designed a clear call to action for each page. Only use one call to action per page to eliminate confusion. So even though you might offer 3 package options, your call to action on that page is still the same. Buy now.
Yeah.
Buy now, right? So all of your copy is directing them that this is the next step. So have a very clear next step.
Yeah, I find myself tripping up on that, not on the web pages, but in emails when there's like multiple things that I want to have them do. I'm like, click here to do this, and then and then click here to do this, and it's like, okay, you've got 4 call to actions in this email. Like, no, you've got to just do one topic and 1 call to action, and like maybe you need to make other emails, because if you're giving them too much, they're like, which one do I do first, and then they end up clicking on one and not the others, right? So super important, and for the landing pages and such, but even for emails too. Nurturing
an email list is what a challenge, and I definitely have learned this year that as far as scaling goes, as much as I love to write and I want to be in control of it all, like somebody to manage my list and write my emails for me might be the first type of assistant thing that I hire out. I've definitely, in working with a copywriter, to just edit my stuff has been such a huge help, but been such a stress reliever that I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll just let you do it all.
Yeah, exactly. It gets kind of addicting when you're like, oh, they're very good at it, and you're like, okay, I'll send you more stuff to do, because it's freeing stuff off of your plate. And at the end of the day, both, Tiffany and I are teaching people who want to create the life that they love. And
absolutely,
at the end of the day, that means not working all the time, even though it's something that you're super passionate about and love doing, because we know that there's other stuff that you like doing too. Yeah. So I love that. Such great tips
on the things that you love the most, that bring you the most joy. It's just so much more important than having that control over every little piece, even if you kind of like it.
Yeah, absolutely. So such amazing tips. You've got a freebie for the audience. Do you want to tell them about the freebie? And then we'll have the link for them to grab that in the show notes.
Okay, absolutely. So I've got a free ebook out there. It's called Designing Your Website for Traffic. So it's got some of these tips. It's got some more tips in it. But if you are a DIYer, and even if not, it's a great little book to grab and go back and reevaluate your existing site and just make sure that you're using all those tips, right? As I mentioned earlier in the show, we just want to constantly refresh that site. Google's going to love that for search engine optimization. And so go grab that ebook, TiffaniTeel.com/KC for Chrissy Chin. Is the page where you can grab that.
Awesome. And then you're working on your first course right now. So that's super exciting. By the time this airs, it may be out, you guys. So you're going to have to go to Tiffany's website to see, but just tell us briefly what the course is going to help people with.
Okay. So the platform that I work on a regular basis is Wix, and whether it's free and or you have a paid version, everyone is getting stuck in the same place when they think they're going to design their own site. And that is, I don't know my way around the tool. Oh my gosh, I've never designed anything. I'm not that creative, but I'm not on a budget that can afford an expert. So I have put a course together, Design Like a Wix Expert, and it's going to walk you through all of the issues that stop you from actually getting your site done designed, and launched.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. So you guys, if that's interest to you, you can go to Tiffany's website, see if it's launched. In the show notes, we talked about Build a Blissful Business. Tiffany's a guest expert in there. She was also an amazing student in there. We're going to have a link below if you want to grab that course for yourself. So check the show notes for that. Before we go, I want to play a little game with you.
Oh, okay.
You ready? It's like a little rapid fire, this or that, a would you rather type of game. Okay, we're just gonna do it. It's gonna be like, I'm gonna say it and you're gonna spit which one you want, right?
Okay.
So get to know you a little bit more. You ready?
I'm nervous, but I'm ready.
She's nervous. Okay. There are some very random things in here. And then there's just some like fun things. Okay.
I'll roll.
You're going to be great. Okay. Books or podcast?
Podcast.
Would you rather sleep with crumbs in your bed or have a hair tickling you that you cannot find?
Crumbs.
How random. Okay. Heels or flats? I think I know what this one is. Yeah, flats. You're a farm girl. Phone call or text message? Text. Movie or TV series?
TV series.
All right. Would you rather have Ed Sheeran or John Mayer sing you to sleep?
That is tough, but I'd have to go with John Mayer.
Same. Totally. Dine-in or delivery?
Dine-in.
Would you rather be in a feud with Kanye West or Nicki Minaj?
Probably Nicki.
Bath or shower?
In my age comes bath.
Bath. Okay, I love it. And toilet paper over or under?
Over.
Oh, over, girl. High five. Air high five. All right. And last but not least, big party or small gathering?
Big party.
I love it. I love it. This has been so much fun. Tiffany has taught us so much about websites, organizational tips in there too. So thank you so much for being here. You can connect with Tiffany on Instagram at Tiffanie Teel. That's Tiffanieteel. And then Facebook, LinkedIn. I've got all of those links in the show notes. So check them out. You guys, until next time, remember to channel your inner badass and take imperfect action every single day. Thank you, Tiffany, for being here.
Thank you for having me, Chrissy.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Bye. Until next time, remember, done is better than perfect, my friend, and to channel your inner badass and take imperfect action every single day.